Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. It's time for another tech talk. So we're gonna go be throwing things. Go be throwing things. There we go. I've been really struggling with my speech the last week. I don't know why. Maybe my brain's failing. But we're going to go into the tech talk now. The tech talk is kind of this like podcasty thing where we look at the comments from the last tech talk and go through things. We also do it live on Twitch. So if you want anything answered like while it's going. That is the way to do it. We record it on Fridays now, just because it's easier for me to schedule it for Sundays, but it will still come out on Sundays, just to let you know. It's been a busy week in War Thunder. Obviously, there hasn't been too much news, but we got a big one this Friday, which is Rank 8 Ground and 2 premiums to boot. Kind of surprised the challenges a GE premium, which is very odd, but overall, it should be fine. I'm gonna do my dailies first, and then we'll probably try and do the Awakening the Volcano thing, just because that one's an absolute pain to do. So we'll get it done and sorted, and hopefully get it going. So let's get into the comments, see what people are chatting about today. Once again, thank you to Karam-chan for doing the timestamps. It's very kind of you. Thank you very much, and hopefully people are appreciating the timestamps. It's a lot of effort to do them, and also, even with, compensation is a very kind thing to do. So thank you so much for doing that. Then we have Uncle Shepherd with a very fun little profile thing. Right, there we go. Let's just set this up properly. Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have another fantastic tech talk where our questions get answered. Okay, I should have just used him as the intro, would have been easy. Hello Tech, first of all thank you for all the effort you bring up to feed us with the War Thunder related content. There has been an absolute metric ton over the last few months, it's been pretty fun. I really enjoyed the tech talks, and they're much welcome when I play games so I can chill and don't have to rush things. Yeah, this style of content, when I think about jobs that I've done in the past, right? Graveyard shifts, working like weird hours, like during university, stuff like this is what I would listen to. So it's kind of like hearkening me back to like that time. And I know a lot of people who, listen to this stuff while trying to go to bed or, working or driving. And I think that's good, that's generally where it should be. And let's see. Secondly is actually a question. Let's see. While we got lots of SBA in the last updates, like the VDAR for Sweden or even China with the PLZ-83 and all the M109s, I'm curious about the German SBA, which is called the Panzerhaubitze 2000. If this SBA-A, or self-propelled artillery, would ever see the light in War Thunder or not. It's a huge ass SBA like the VDAR, with 155, rate of fire in burst is 3 rounds in 9 seconds and 10 rounds in 60. It's the 56 tons, a heavy beast, and still can go 67 kilometers an hour and 45 off-road. I'll stop here writing more details. I'd like to know what you think about this SBA. Is it worth for guidance to take a closer look? And yes, where and how should it be obtainable? Tech Trio Premium like the VDAR, and also which BR. I'd take it as a premium like the VDAR has become between 7.3 and 8.0. Thank you again for all your effort and answers, and as always, hope you have a wonderful day and see you next time. You too. P.S. Hello to the dog we can hear sometimes. I hope he's doing well. Yeah, AJ's doing good. He's cold because it's the winter, but he's doing all right. AJ is the inside dog. He's doing good. But basically, yeah, they should add it. The Panzerhaubitze is one of those I feel like has been kind of talked about for a long time. The only thing with the Panzerhaubitze is I see it very similarly to like top tier MBTs, or let's say not top tier MBTs, but kind of like the demonstrator or the prototype types. The issue is once you add it, there's not really anywhere to go from there. Does that make sense? So there isn't like a better version of that thing. So what would be, once you add it, you don't have anywhere else to kind of push forward with it. It's like an issue that Ground is going to have pretty soon. Like when it comes to when it comes to when they bring in all these rank 8 ground vehicles. You know, do they go like the crazy prototypes? Do they go the crazy demonstrators? What's like the next step after they add in the new set of MBTs? Like some nations already have their most modern MBTs, so where do you go from there? It's an interesting question, right? So once you add the Panzerhaubitze, there isn't really an SPH that is better than it in terms of the German tech tree. So you could add it, and then that's kind of it, right? The other thing is they've kind of focused on SPAs for good old Germany, which are more like World War II based. There's a bunch of them I'd rather see than the Panzerhaubitze right now. And also, in terms of tech trees, I feel like the German tech tree is still pretty good. It doesn't need too much of that. They heavily focused on light tanks for the German tech tree over like the last few years, and it's paid off to an insane amount. So for me, I would love to see it. There's no reason why they can't add it. I wouldn't like it as a premium, if I'm honest with you. I would rather it be in the tech tree because, as I said, there isn't really an equivalent that they can add for the tech tree for Germany. So if they're going to do a premium, I'd rather they do what they did like with the M1HC that they just announced, where you have like a standard tech tree version and then one with like a deck chair on it. You know, I think that would be better. Nice CIO 85. Yeah, the Challenger OES is going to be a premium. It's going to be a GE premium. So not a pre-order premium, which is kind of weird, but it should be fine. Yeah, the Panzerhaubitze is actually a really interesting vehicle. We have, I mean, the AUF-1 is probably the most similar to it that we have in game, but obviously not as, you know, it doesn't have as many functions. The only real question is, I was actually talking to CK about this the other day, because CK is one of the guys who really wants like some kind of system which is more like indirect fire system, so like kind of top down or, you know, arcing fire stuff, and I'm really against it. And the reason is accuracy. Like I don't know if you guys knew when the Sturmtiger came out, there was a bunch of clips which were actually put on like the War Thunder I think Thunder Show, and a bunch of people made a ton of GE from having like games in the Sturmtiger where they just like hammered like 3 or 4 or 5 people all in like one game, and people like, how the hell did they do this? Well, it turns out there's like a mod that you can run which accurately can work out distances in real time while you are lining stuff up. So you basically just put like a mark on the map, and then once you put that mark on the map, then, you know, it tells you exactly where it is, and it tells you the exact distance to it. So it acts as a laser rangefinder, even not just through a laser rangefinder, but even if you don't have a mark, or even if you can't see the target. So it just tells you the accurate distance of the map. And so if you have like a top-down thing and, you know, oh, well, maybe you need to work out the distance of where to fire and you have to work out all these things, it doesn't work because there's already software that does that. So that's why I'm kind of against these things. I don't like vehicles that just can kill you without you seeing them, which, if you've been paying attention to top tier, is one of the big issues that people have with top tier. The expansion of range of ordnance, especially for air vehicles, has really put a lot of people off top tier. So that's why I'm really worried about these SPHs coming in and doing the same thing. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be added. The Haubitze should be added because it can direct fire and also should be pretty fun. So I'd be completely fine with it being in. And hopefully it comes soon, you know. And we have Aldo Caruli. Hello, Tech and Chat. Hello. Once again, thank you for answering all the questions. I hope everything's all right. Everything's great. Changed up diet. So basically, I'm happy with the amount of muscle that I've built now. Like I'm happy like when it comes to like the size of my arms, size of my legs, all that stuff. So now it's time to cut fat again. So going on a slight calorie deficit, keeping basically what I class it as is like keeping maintenance fitness stuff going. So certain weights and also, you know, certain exercises, and we're just going like heavy on cardio again. So it should be fun. You'll get a good old thin face Tech back pretty soon over the next like 3 or 4 months. So it's kind of funny. I've been like I've been pissing about with my body for so long, like over the last like 3 or 4 years. Since like now I'm in a position where like, after like all the operation stuff and after sorting out, all of that like muscles and everything like that, now I've just been kind of finding like what works with my body and what doesn't. So now I can kind of like push it around, which is pretty fun. I've been enjoying it, it's been a good time. But now everything else is good. We're just kind of chilling and sorting out Christmas stuff, and trying to make sure the family back home is doing well. And at the moment they are, so that's really good for me. Got some very positive news about that stuff last few days, so yeah, really nice. This time I want to ask you, what exactly did happen in the day with the 100 event and the people who cheated in the event? How did they cheat? Since back then I didn't really have time for War Thunder, so it's a piece of history I miss. Thank you again, and keep up the good work. Well, I mean, it's just standard stuff, right? Like, you have the thing about War Thunder is the fact that on one side you have, of course, the fact that the game, you have the client and the server side thing, right? So the client and the server don't always match up to each other because of ping and because of other reasons. So you can do stuff on the client side that the server side doesn't see, which is why it can be a little bit harder to catch cheaters, but it also means that people can't manipulate the game to the level that a lot of people used to back in the day with certain other games. That's why in War Thunder you never have like speed hackers, or you never have like people flying about the place or able to do that because of the client server connection. So what you would see back then was people basically cheating in the standard ways, aimbots, and also stuff. I don't know. Lag switches is not the term I'm looking for, but basically, like the War Thunder as a game is incredibly forgiving when it comes to certain things, and one of those things is ping. So if you are around a specific ping level, you can screw with the game to a point of, the whole peak advantage stuff. But that's not really cheating. That's just kind of abusing what your ping is. The main one, as I said, is aimbotting, but the big one, which was prevalent back in the day, especially when it comes to competitive guys, and even to this day, with the two guys, or well, technically one guy who got banned recently, is account sharing. Account sharing is something I've talked about many times, and it is something that is hardly ever enforced. It's actually only started to really being enforced this year, and I think it's honestly because the guys who are running the esports stuff have actually realized if people want to take this stuff seriously, they actually have to stop people cheating the system. Because let's say if I create like 4 teams, right? Oh, thank you, Base AA. That's very kind of you. It didn't even turn on. If I created like 4 teams, but 3 of the members of each of the teams are all the same people, then that gives you 4 chances to be able to face each other, right? Which is something that would happen back in the day, where you would have somebody who was playing on multiple accounts, and as long as they weren't playing at the same time, then it would be fine. Now imagine you have a situation like that, and imagine if you expanded that out to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 people. So now what you can do in this like area is you can pretty much just take over a part of the game by filling it full of the same people in different areas, right? And that's what happened a bunch of times. That is something that would happen a lot, not necessarily during like these types of events, but mainly in like squadron battles. There was always, I never even like got confirmation of these things, but they always sounded funny to me. The idea was that some people literally were getting paid off to, they were getting paid off to leave squadrons at strategic times and join other squadrons at strategic times to be able to kind of screw over people when it came to squadron points, which is one of the most hilarious things I've ever heard if it's actually true. because it just seems completely ridiculous, right? That something like that would happen. But then again, I've seen things happen in War Thunder which are completely insane, so it wouldn't surprise me too much. At the end of the day, yeah, this was literally before Easy Anti-Cheat was a thing, but that's a different story. The main thing was account sharing, and the guys who just got beaned, like even the last set of people who got beaned, um, the high profile ones a few days ago, it was for account sharing. Those were the guys who got bonked when it came to the 100 ones, basically sharing certain accounts. And then what ended up happening is because they shared certain accounts, they got hammered because one of them decided to cheat on the different accounts, and therefore, if it is on another account, then yeah, they both get beaned, not just for cheating, but also for sharing accounts, which is what happened. Yeah, so not great in terms of that. The main thing, though, that they will never be able to stop is the account sharing stuff, because it's very hard to police, and also at the same time, they don't actively do it. So they only seem to do it whenever it's a high profile case, but not even then. Like, if anything, like that, I mean, you've literally seen like videos from pretty high end CCs who like just blatantly use different accounts. Like literally series of like, hey, here's my free to play account, here's my premium account, or oh, here's an account where I'm doing this, and here's an account I'm doing this. It says in the terms of service on the Gaijin.net thing, you're not allowed to make multiple accounts. But as I said, since this stuff is not policed at all, and it's just not even like in the mind of many people, it's just let go. And nowadays, well, maybe it's starting, maybe they've realized it's a problem after all these years. And if that's the case, that's really good, but we'll have to see, right? Because it is one of those things that hasn't changed in a long time. I would like it to be enforced. I think it's pretty awful that it hasn't been enforced for the longest time. Um, when when these things like have happened in the past, it's always kind of annoyed me because it basically means that here's a set of people who are just getting away with stuff and we're allowing it because of some reason, right? So the fact that now like people are starting to get beaned, especially the way that they are, I think that's kind of positive. So pretty happy with that stuff. But that's a little bit, I suppose, of an overview. And also the other thing is, there's a few of those players like back in the day who are actually trying to sell their accounts. So they've kind of left War Thunder, or somebody has just nicked them, and they're trying to sell them on like for thousands and thousands of dollars, ridiculous amounts of money for what is basically something that'll just get banned anyway. I wonder who buys stuff like that, even if people buy stuff like that. That's the other thing, right? So we have Nikolai Suterovich. Let's see what it says. Hey Tech, hope all is well. Yeah, everything's great. I just finished watching your Nigerian video, and at the end you were talking about where they could fit them into a tech trio as an independent. Personally, I'd love to see a nation like Nigeria, with its vast collection of different nations' vehicles, not be restricted to premiums, event vehicles, or even a subtree. It would be awesome to see each nation vehicle represented in the nation tree, given it exists in game, while the rest are added to whatever nation fits best. See, that all sounds really good, right? And in a perfect world, hey Holyrun, nice to see you, man. In a perfect world, that's what we do, right? So in a perfect world, that is grand. There's a problem though with this, and the problem is pretty simple. There just aren't enough vehicles. And no matter how much we want the nation of Nigeria in War Thunder to exist, there are not enough vehicles. Thank you for the subscription, Penguin Red. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. So even if it might be visually pleasing that they add a bunch of these things to the game in their own tech tree, what ends up happening is nobody plays it because you just play a worse experience of other nations. Because most of their vehicles are from other nations. So if you add those vehicles in an independent tech tree, and then over time add them to those nations, people would just play those. Imagine Israel, right? Israel was a nation that was added, and when it was added, it was literally a million M48s and M60s and Macabres and an M51. That was the tech tree. That's it. So with that being the way that it was, of course people are going to look at that and be like, well, why would I play that? And that's pretty much what everybody did. Happy Friday, Peter the Great. Nice to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing all right. So if you have a look at Nigeria and the vehicles that we covered, all of them could be put into other tech trees. So what you're basically doing by not adding them in, okay, to those tech trees, and instead adding them to the tech trees that you want to exist, then you are limiting those tech trees already, because they can't be added to those ones, and also you're creating tech trees which have absolutely no lineups as well, right? So you just make it so nobody plays those vehicles, and that is the problem right there. It's the fact that nobody will play the vehicles. If you could get it so people would play the vehicles and enjoy them by themselves independently in that tech tree, I'll be all down, and I'll be the champion of it. But they won't play them, and the only people who will are psychos like me, who literally, like to play pretty much everything in tech trees to give them a go, right? And so you're just gonna be in this horrific experience where most people are just not gonna touch them. So visually, nowadays in War Thunder, the way that I see a lot of stuff, I'm much more interested, instead of like visual appeal of things, how useful they are when it comes to the game. Because the visual appeal only lasts as long as they're added in the first place. Once that visual appeal disappears, which is pretty quick, what ends up happening is, you're left with the reality of a tech tree which nobody is going to touch. So why would you bother? Simple as. So even if you want it to be independent and you want to see it be independent, what would be the use? Because you would never see the vehicles. Hey Donny B, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. Greetings, Fluffy Moops. Hopefully you're doing good too. So then we have Volterida Home. War Thunder's been going for quite a while, and I don't think it gets the recognition it deserves. Anyways, what do you think War Thunder needs to add remove to keep the game alive for the foreseeable future? Ooh. I personally believe that new game modes for ground or rework for air maybe include the strategic bombers. Just something to change battles up. I think this could be fun. Haven't been playing for a while now. I think this needs to be worked on, since it's just the same every time. I'd like to see this evolve to like many other aspects has done over the years. To a point. So the biggest issue with fundamentally changing how stuff works, which they have done over time in a lot of areas, is you get a lot of pushback by doing it. The amount of people who want stuff changed is dwarfed by the amount of people who just play and enjoy the game. And so what you have to do if you want stuff changed is you have to work out a few things. So number one, if you change the stuff in favor of what you want going forward, will it actually bring in a new set of people who will enjoy what you have changed? Number two, will you still have that pre-existing player base enough to be able to continue developing the game if you fundamentally change how stuff works, right? And then number three is, are you able to take the negative backlash, which is what will happen if you fundamentally change how these things work, in order to improve the game in your vision? So those are like the three things that have to be thought about, right? Like there's no ifs or buts, okay? Those are the things that have to be worked out when it comes to your head and when it comes to what's kind of going forward. So if you can work those two out, or work those three out, sorry, then we can start having conversations about what that generally means, okay? The strategic bomber stuff, I mean, the issue with them is I don't think it adds anything new to the game. It just means that you have more pinatas to annihilate, unless they're played correctly, and then you'll just get people complaining that they're pinatas, just like a lot of people complain how a lot of bombers are played, whether they're seen as passive or active. So I think you could add in strategic bombers now without changing anything. Like I think it would be fine. In ground, the formula works, and it's worked for many years. And may I just say, when I have a think about a lot of games, when I think about like Call of Duty, when I think about Battlefield, when I think about pretty much anything that exists in different genres of gaming, it really does come down to the if it ain't broke, don't fix it thing. Like I've heard so many different ideas and so many different thoughts when it comes to different game modes and different things. And since I've been here for way too long at this point, I've seen everything tried. I've seen a rush mode tried. I've seen extra domination zones tried. I've seen a break setup tried. I've seen random objectives tried. I've seen all of these things that people bring up over and over again tried. I've even seen large scale, massive kind of battles tried. I've been part of large scale massive battles tried. I've seen everything. I'm like this weird fucking thing that just remembers all of these points. So the idea that these things haven't been tried or what could they add to spice things up, I honestly think the formula they have works pretty well. Like I don't think it needs this huge change or massive rampant things to keep the game feeling good or feeling fresh. How many other games, like think about Battlefield, like the core of Battlefield when it comes to how their missions are set up has not changed ever in maybe 10 years. Call of Duty, it's the same. Once again, capturing zones or getting kills, right? Which is basically what we have in War Thunder and have done for a long time. So it's just the fact that if everything, how did that guy die? If all of that stuff works, and if people are enjoying it, you better have a hell of a good reason to change it, right? The reason why they're having to change Enlisted is because people aren't enjoying it, and the player base who still exists there, which I don't even know how big that is at this point. They're having to fundamentally change it because the game is not working, right? It's not got the player base to keep it alive. War Thunder went through a few of these times where they had to fundamentally change stuff. And that's, it wouldn't be surprising if they do it again if the player base starts reducing or if they start not expanding as much as they are. I have my own thoughts about what I want to see. I have my own thoughts about what I think would be nice and different sets of people to bring in, like certain things such as the PvE mode stuff we've talked about and the little campaign stuff we've talked about. But are they fundamentally changing like all the other modes? No, this is additional content on top of what already exists. You got to be real careful when you start changing the cores of games. So I would honestly say the cores don't need changing. They just need to keep adding small little incremental changes which give certain vehicles a little move up, and also at the same time the area where they can change stuff is through changing the maps, changing the vehicles, and even some of the mechanics, which is how they've been freshening up stuff for like 3 or 4 years. We suggest the M1A1HC Premium for a player with an almost full researched US ground tree. I mean, if you want it, Master Gaming, have you played the standard M1A1HC? Like, it's the same vehicle, so if you've enjoyed that one, you know, you'll enjoy that one. So, pretty much, like, it's... Obviously, there'll be new stuff to grind out, but the M1 KVT already exists and probably will go on, you know, sale pretty soon, but my time in the M1A1 is, you know, pretty fun, and I've enjoyed it. It really, what I would do is, the real issue with buying the M1A1HC is whether or not the Christmas sale will have the, Christmas sale will have the M1 KVT in it, right? If it doesn't, right, then I would say pick it up, but if it does, then it's not that useful, right? Thank you for the subscription, Federation Hero. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. So we have a way with you, Viability. Oh. Hit the wrong button. See if I can fix it without it firing an ad at me. There we go. Ooh, Alienware. I haven't seen an Alienware ad in ages. Must be on the, coming up on the back. I always just remember Alienware just getting a real bad rep. Like when it came to everything. I've never used anything Alienware because it was always a bit pricey for me, if I'm honest with you. Hello, TEC. You understand exactly what I was saying when it comes to customization side of leased vehicles. I just couldn't put it in the way I wanted to, but you said it perfectly. Expanding the customization like they do with the T5. Put an insignia here and a name there, and you can make Jack happy boy. Yeah, pretty much. Like, and that's what they're doing, right? Like with a bunch of different things, like, you know, the M1A1HC. A lot of the Enlisted premiums are like that, by the way. Like, pretty much, not all of them, but a lot of the useful ones are just like standard vehicles with some customization. Now, I was going to talk about something else, but I'm writing this right as you got to a certain heavy subject. I have uplifting War Thunder story that happened to me today. It's on the longer side. A couple of hours ago, I had a bad game after bad game, and I got to the point where I felt so annoyed where I started getting angry. When this usually happens, I just go for one last game that can annoy me enough to quit for the day after this game was proper awful from the beginning. I think we've all been there. We're on Domination Ardennes. The team makes a conga line through the center of the map and create a traffic jam on B, and surprisingly they get flanked from the right side and they start dying. Soon after, we're already pushed back on A, and I'm left alone on the left flank. I've been there. It's tough. So I lean forward in my chair and start to spot in my trusty Hellcat, and I pick people off one by one until Cass arrives, and I survive somehow. I finally die, but we're capping B, and the enemy has to come back. Then, when I look at my HUD and see that I have a nuke in arcade, goddamn, I call in the 24 kill streak, and they send 3 vultures after me. I ask for my team to get in a plane, but no luck, so I just pull some simple and realistic War Thunder dive and dodge tactics to gain speed, and just as the planes catches fire, the nuke drops, and I win as the game. I've never heard of a nuke in arcade, but that's pretty good. I'm doing it for a daily, Donny B, basically. But no, that's awesome, man. Good stuff. That's, I've got a few nukes, but only in RB, never in arcade. Arcade's fun, though. I've enjoyed it. Mainly, I only play it to play SBAAs, but it's still enjoyable. I've got to remember to actually take AP with this thing. God diggity damn. There we go. So the moral of the story, simple, don't give up and don't let people keep you down. Oh, well, very true. Life is worth giving, and I urge people that feel the opposite speak to those they trust and not do like I did and hide it. Thank you, TEC, for the words in the video. This is the attitude people with power should have in regards to subjects like this, but I won't hold my breath. The more I learn about many of these things, the more sad I get how these systems work. But at the same time, that it doesn't make me sad about the overall thing. It just means that improvement is required, and you know that's kind of the way that I push it and the idea that I look for. You know. Hey Carter, nice to see you. I hope you have a great week, and you too, Chad. Will do. You know, it'll be a nice time. What? Oh, I have to use a destroyer. Eh. You know what? I could work on the other challenge instead of doing this. Because we have, like, missions 1 for Ground Arcade. So. Also, the processing is taking ages for some reason. It's very odd. Alright. Shorty call 911. Everybody's going on the dance floor. Woo. If you play the game long enough, you'll get a nuke, you know, eventually. So we have Toshio. I enjoyed when torpedoes acted as fuseless bombs. I didn't take advantage of it more than once or twice, but it made for fun videos to watch. Yeah, that was about the bug stuff, right? My favorite Naval one was always when they added the VS8 test or the VS10 test, whatever the vehicle was called, the naval vehicle, and basically when it hit a mine, like if a vehicle hit the mine, it literally copied and pasted. I think that was incredibly fun. Wasn't the arcade nuke in the game first? I mean, probably. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. So we have Jalen Williams. One of the biggest things I want right now is a reduction in the amount of casts in Ground RB. I've had matches where I die to planes more than tanks. Whoops. And it's the most infuriating thing for me. In an extreme case, someone can die after getting a quick kill at the start, bomb you, and then bomb you again after you spawn, and your game is over without getting hit by a single tank. At times I'm driving around looking for armor and see none, and there's a whole air force in the sky. Yeah, I agree. CAS is incredibly powerful right now, especially after the overpressure changes at mid-tiers. It's why, for me, I think it's important to always have counters in your lineup. And stuff like SPAA is kind of nice, but also, you know, can kind of get hammered pretty easily. The main thing I would focus on when it comes to stuff like that is that from that moment on is having a fighter in your lineup and also having a AA in your lineup, and it won't solve the issue. You know, it's one of those things that won't always sort stuff out, but it's basically the way that you can do it. You know, there's no other way that you can sort it, and the only thing that can be changed is obviously mechanics being altered, which is fine. It can happen. It just doesn't work as well, you know. I think the thing I wish that they were a little bit. I think the thing I wish that they were a little bit. No, be quiet, me. Were a little bit more aggressive with, would be changing spawn costs of planes more often instead of just kind of, you know, chilling and going from there. Hey, his best, nice to see you. I'm getting the GOH World War II pack. Would you recommend it? If you like those types of games, yes. Gates of Hell is fantastic. It's incredibly fun to play. And after playing the Liberation stuff the last few days, it's been really enjoyable. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. The main thing... Oh dear. The main thing about the cast stuff is just having proper lineups. You know, it's all well and good wanting a tank game, which, you know, you only have tanks and everybody only has tanks, but that isn't War Thunder, and it never will be. You know, maybe at some point they might do a tank-only mode. Who knows? You know, it's always on the list of things that is discussed, but you can't hold on to that fact and hoping that that's the case. So what is much more important in that way is actually having stuff such as okay, well, I literally hit that guy 5 times with these guns, but I suppose that's not allowed. The main thing is just having lineups. Like I know, right. Whenever I talk about this subject, what ends up happening is people get really pissed off at what I say. But honestly, there is literally no other way of dealing with it. Like the solutions are not the best solutions that exist. Oh, sorry, the solutions are the best solutions that exist, but they are not. But they are not things, or they're not something which can fully work all the time, and it sucks. And the only thing that solves stuff like that is balance from Gaijin's end. Okay. But from a player perspective, all you can really do is just get proper lineups, you know? Hey, 69 Eyes, nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Apocalypse. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, man. But happy Friday. Hopefully you're doing alright. The game will never be like singular combat. Literally, the only reason the air modes exist is because they came out before everything else. So. I'm just gonna get bombed again. Never mind. So we have Neck Chow Ho. What do you think about the idea of adding AI-controlled SAM sites? These would automatically engage planes at some arbitrary altitude like 4,000. This would cause the planes to go low to the ground, making them more vulnerable to player-controlled SBAA. All this being done to balance the top-tier cast meta. No. No, I'm good, thanks. One of the issues you have in War Thunder, and will have going forward forever, is if you leave things to be balanced up to AI, you will fail, and it won't work. Thank you for the subscription, Apocalypse. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. Gaijin's AI systems are at best okay, and at best absolutely terrible. So wanting to kind of have a system which works and is the only thing that is defending you against high-tier stuff is not going to work. The other heli-based AA, and even just like a realistic AA right now, it just doesn't work. They broke it again. You know, they have these wonderful moments where every so often they decide that they must work and then they mustn't work, and it's very annoying, and it happens all the time. And I just wish it didn't happen, but they do it. They make these changes literally all the time, and it works one day and it's broken the next, and it's very, very annoying. So if you want your only defenses against these things to be that, then so be it, but it won't work. The other thing is you have to give players agency. You have to make them be the ones who deal with these problems, and once again balance by repair cost. That's how you solve these, or not by repair cost, sorry, by spawn cost. But as I said in the previous point, for some reason they are really, really against making big changes or even changes quickly for a lot of these things. So it's just not going to work if they don't do stuff like that. You've also, this is another thing also that I have to really push forward, because it's very important and always forgotten about. Everybody thinks about the top 1% of vehicles on the BR bracket. Okay? So a lot of the time when we have conversations about these things, okay? When we have conversations about these things, what is never remembered is the 80% of vehicles that are not, you know, that top 10 or 20% echelon, or even 1% echelon. Nice to see you, Abby. Hopefully you're doing well. So a system like this pretty much nullifies all of those vehicles. So you'll only see very few certain vehicles being used and nothing else, right? Now you already have that to a decent extent, especially if you want to take the game super seriously, but imagine you've now just made all of those vehicles even more worthless. It's like the ATGM changes, you know? It's like, well, this ATGM carrier is overperforming, let's give it realistic missiles. Well, what about all of the other ATGM carriers? Well, they're all screwed as well. Or there's the SAM changes, the missile changes to them. Or anything like that, you know? The basic thing they need to do is to balance by spawn points. Something that they are very, very against doing in like quick changes over every so often to shake up what people take. No idea why. Don't know why. It just sucks, you know. Hey Sarge Moon, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. So we have Insane Robert. Hey TEC, hello. Ooh, a lot of paragraphs today. Regarding the War Thunder versus Water Tanks debate, I have my personal experience with it. I used to play Water Tanks before War Thunder up to 2012 and started War Thunder in 2013 when it only had planes. But I've got alienated by the gold ammo and consumables and dubious nerfs and balances in each patch. Where they used to release new OP vehicles with each pass, nerf them after a couple of months and weaken older vehicles to drive players towards them. 2 seconds. There we go. And drive players towards them. It was not about paper tanks as much as the other aspects of the game. It also didn't help by the fact that the garage slots were costing gold. Crew had to be retrained each time you had to change it on a vehicle, or to retrain a new one in additional modifications, which buffed your vehicles and were very expensive in SL. Or you were forced to buy gold to get them if you were low on SL. The camouflage was the same as with these modifications. They buffed their concealed range, and also you had to buy 3 different camos for the same vehicle for snow, desert, woodlands to get the same camo buff. Do this for each vehicle and it becomes costly very fast, which is just crazy when you actually think about it, by the way. Just think about that being a thing. Jesus. After rank 7, the repairs are pretty expensive if your score is not high enough. Let's just do that. Nice. Not high enough. You always went into negative. You had to go back to rank 5 to get a good amount of currency / battle by premium vehicles. Compared to War Thunder, the premium account was way more expensive per month per year, so why bother with this game when it can be so predatory for my wallet? I mean, the interesting thing, at least that I find about Water Tanks, is even if you have a look at like the high echelon guys, like the content creators, they all agree that the game is very much pay to win. It just depends on the percentage, right? Like when they were bringing in all of those crew skills, and I think Quickie Baby was talking about it, one of the things that he talked about was the fact that he thought that the game was like 5% or 10%, 10% pay to win, and he didn't want the changes to come in because it would become even more pay to win. Does that make sense? So it was like, it's understood that the game's pay to win, which is something that, you know, War Thunder, if you actually have a look at a lot of the mechanics that War Thunder has access to, like, I know a lot of people talk about it being pay to win, but it's nothing like World of Tanks. It's a completely different situation, which is just nuts. Well, I think I'm dead. Oh, not fully dead. Like, it's not even funny how ridiculous a lot of the stuff is. For World of Tanks. It's actually, if you think about it, it's actually quite disgusting. See you later, I took nuts. Look after yourself. Which is, I mean, the big reason why I, like, back in the day, I played World of Tanks before War Thunder as well. But the reason why I kind of stayed away from it was the fact that I got to, like, a certain rank for the good old tech tree. And then what ended up happening was, I was in like a light tanker rank 4, and I started facing like rank 6s, 7s, and 8s, because it was when it was like +4, -4 for certain tanks was in, or maybe +6, -6. I think it was +4, -4. And it basically just meant, oh, well, yeah, so you face this vehicle and you can't do anything about it, you just die. It was like, oh, well, that's grand, isn't it? Oh, that's fun. So yeah. Could we fire missiles at another target, please? So yeah, it just kind of sucked. And it basically meant that you couldn't do anything. You were just done. Yeah, the other thing as well, dog, which is something they brought in a bit later on, was like, yeah, if you want certain vehicles, it's literally loot crates. They've done it again, like this year. They do it every Christmas. Same with World of Warships. Like the debate between which game is more predatory, it is definitely World of Tanks by a large margin. And also at the same time, there aren't many free-to-play games that I think are as not as predatory as World of Tanks. Sorry, there aren't many free-to-play games that I think are as predatory as World of Tanks, and I think the business model for War Thunder is so much kinder to the individual compared to many other free-to-play games. I honestly think like the game that spoiled my perception when it comes to free-to-play stuff, and what you could kind of get out of it, if you know the devs were okay with it, is Path of Exile. Path of Exile, the actual like level of monetization in that game is tiny, by the way. But also they've done really well because they have a large player base and everybody loves everything. This Strela thing is nuts in arcade, by the way. So what this basically means is everybody uses that model, or everybody goes, hey, so why can't I get more stuff for free? Because there's always people who want more stuff for free. But if you actually break down War Thunder, like how it is and how it works, War Thunder is an insanely fair business model. I know people don't like hearing it. Okay, I get that. But if you compare it to so many other games, it is not even like a conversation. Like if you go and have a look at the new Call of Duty, you know, the game which is still very high in like the selling thing, and go and have a look at what you get from the version of it, right? So if I buy the new Call of Duty, right, on Steam for me at the moment, and I get the actual like useful edition, and this is without any of like the additional content or anything like that. So this is without, you know, all of the this is without all of the extra stuff. So none of the Call of Duty points stuff, which I'm not even going to get into. It's $130 for me before tax. So basically $150 for that game. Then if you have a look at the DLC that's available, there are... So this game just came out, right? Okay. So this game came out, well, last year. Okay. If I buy all the DLC for it, 650 Canadian dollars. For a game that's replaced after a year. Or you could pay $40 a year in War Thunder and get access to pretty much everything if you just play the game. Or just don't pay anything, and you can still get access to all that stuff. And just, you know, takes twice as long. It's nuts. It's absolutely crazy when you think about it. We were talking about this the other day, actually, how a lot of games which are paid now, are just using free-to-play models. So the whole thing about free-to-play was, you know, you have no upfront cost. The actual barrier to entry is very small. So that means that the paid content kind of comes later, or there's some kind of like premium thing with it, right? Like the reason, the only way that War Thunder exists is through this kind of like model, because of how the game is developed. If you have a look at most paid games now, most big games, they are using the exact model of War Thunder, but also for paid games. So battle passes, expansion passes, DLC, you know, pre-order bonuses. All of these things are just in standard games. So they took a model that works and then just made it for paid games too. So now that's the standard thing. And people still say that, like, War Thunder's business model is crap. It's insane to me when you have a look at the competition. Which is why I honestly say what people should do is they should really start maybe not playing some of these other games. I think there's a lot of indie games that are super cheap and really fun, especially like through Fanatical or Humble Bundle, that is worth like having a look at. But at these big games, which are the same size as War Thunder, right? So top 10, 20, 30 in the world, you need to really start looking at their business models. And just kind of understand like where the like standard is of the industry. Whether you like it or not, you know? Take emotion out and just look at the numbers. They're also shutting down the updates for Call of Duty DMZ, so the pay-to-win skins people bought for it are worthless now for Warzone Modern Warfare 3. Yeah, so that's the other thing, right? In War Thunder, once you actually get something, it exists until the game doesn't exist. They've never removed anything from anybody apart from people who've broken rules, which is something that, you know, obviously I think most people would be fine with. Like, I don't think there's many people like, oh no, you took away this cheater's camo, or you know, banned this cheater's account. But yeah, it's just kind of nuts. I just hope War Thunder doesn't go too much into this direction, although we already have tons of premium vehicles with dubious performances, like the IS-6 when it first came out, K50 XM1 terms. Too many games were broken by accident, like mentioned above. There's definitely been levels of it in War Thunder. I think in general they're not too bad with it though. You know what's, well, I suppose the M60 stab, yeah, Penguin Red. That's one of the things, but they didn't just actively remove the vehicle. You know, vehicles can be changed, but they've never removed the vehicle that people have either bought or researched. We traded loot boxes for battle passes after Star Wars Battlefront, even Diablo 4 has them. Yeah. Yeah, and people like, and it's a way of like keeping it in the news, right? But the interesting thing for me is, first of all, my teams just keep getting clattered. What is going on? The interesting thing for me when it comes to a lot of these things... Dude, what is this? The other thing to also mention when it comes to like all of this stuff is at least there are some way, like they have a rule I think in World of Tanks where you can't ever get a vehicle to move in its tier, right? Or it can't ever be put up a tier once it's put into the game. Or you can't ever nerf it or something. Does anybody know about that? I can't remember what it is, but it's led to like some ridiculous situations where instead of nerfing a vehicle that people have bought, they've instead decided to just remove it from sale. Which is just like nuts at the end of the day. Like, because then you just have a bunch of people who have a crazy broken vehicle, but you can't do anything about it, so... Like, it's just allowed to exist and foster, like, in the game. It's crazy. But the interesting thing about War Thunder is I don't think it's ever really going to go down that route. Like, you can see what they're doing with the high tier premiums. Like, they did it basically with the aviation stuff last year, and they're doing it now with ground. It's sometimes negative to actually play these vehicles, because basically you just go up against the new like leaders, right? Like you go up against the new leaders who are in the game. So it actually hurts to sometimes buy these things if the BR isn't populated enough, because you just go against the new set of vehicles that they just added. But no, I'm not worried about War Thunder going crazy pay to win. I don't think it is pay to win right now anyway. And I don't think it'll get to that point. At this stage of the development, the only way I can see something like that happening is if they decided to what's the word? If you would need a whole management structure change on how the game is run, and also industry standards to be completely different. But then again, like I do meet a lot of people who say crazy stuff like, oh well, how about what if they just like people should be able to pay for power, you know? Like I hear crazy people say stuff like that, or you know, I paid money, I should get an advantage. Like if that's the case, then this whole thing dies very, very quickly. So we have White Wolf Lit. Hello Tech. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm doing good. Life is like a breeze. Do you think Canada could fill out an entire tree? I'm gonna go boom, I think. I have no ammo anyway, so... Do you think Canada could fill out an entire tech tree, or perhaps even do something similar to Israel, where you have to get another nation to rank 4 before you can use them? No. No, I mean, Israel is already a stretch. Canada would be awful. Just think about it. What would I bet you some crazy person has made a Canadian tech tree. We can have a look. How about that? Canada tech tree, War Thunder. But no, not at all. It would be an absolutely terrible idea to make Canada a tech tree. Oh, the tech tree is made by our favorite suggestion moderator, so it'll get past the developers pretty quick. But no, it would be a waste of time, and it would be a waste of everybody's time. You'd have to take a lot of liberties. It wouldn't work very well, and it would also be crap. Canada as a nation, just like every other nation that exists right now, should literally just become subtrees. If you're worried about the name being different, or oh well, what is the link between them? Just change the name. Commonwealth tree. There you go. Done. Easy. Like the fact that they've added a bunch of Canadian vehicles in the game, and they're either premium or event vehicles, should show that Gaijin don't think there is enough vehicles, and there also isn't. So just don't. No more of this. No more independent tech trees. Just don't do it. It's a terrible idea. Right? We already have enough. There's only 30 million people in Canada, by the way. Just to remind you. Tiny amount of people in Canada. Spread out across a vast land. And also, at the same time, as many other things, they just don't have a lot of armed forces. So, why bother? The best way of doing Canada is a subtree, right? The subtree idea works, so just do that. Makes the most sense out of pretty much everything. What I've seen, what a tanks is, was rebalancing things. Type 59, Lover, etc., which once was quite OP, was downgraded to okay-ish. But were they premiums? That's the thing. But yeah, it would be a terrible idea to add any of these nations as full-on tech trees. And because nobody will play them. Like, and you know how I know that? Because we already have a bunch of tech trees in the game that nobody plays. Like, just give up on the idea. It's not needed. So we have Malta Bjorn Bor Jessen. Or Jessen. Hey, from Sweden. Hello. Hello, Grand. How are you? 10 million in Sweden? Yes, but it's not Sweden. It's Scandinavia, isn't it? It's the Northern European tech tree. How many people are in Northern Europe? That's the thing. Where can you add Canada as an independent? Who do you add to Canada as a sub-tech tree? You can't. Let's see. Northern Europe population. 107 million people. There you go. One of my favorite things about the game are the outstanding teaser trailers. In my opinion, the best kind of the trailers are the ones showing one or a few really hyped vehicles. For example, the F-14 or F-16 MiG-29 trailers. However, I've heard that many people dislike this format of trailers and prefer the kind that shows as many vehicles as possible. In your opinion, which kind is the best? Also give the team behind the trailers a massive raise. I prefer the ones which show a bunch of different things. I don't like the trailers... Ooh. I don't like the trailers which are just one or two vehicles. Even the F-16 trailer wasn't just the F-16, by the way. You know. Let's see. Because it was Apex Predators, right? That was the teaser. We can have a look at it. I prefer ones with just multiple vehicles because it's something to talk about, right? Like the Vigan trailer I thought was nice, where they showed the Vigan, you know, as a vehicle. They also showed a bunch of other stuff as well. You know, they showed the T-80, they showed the Sprut, and also there's a few other things which I thought worked really well. So those types of things I'm much more down with instead of 247. I'm much more down with those types of things instead of just a single vehicle. If you want to, like, you don't bring up the SU-25 trailer or you don't bring up the A-10 trailer. Both of those were very poor trailers. The A-10 trailer was awful. For how hyped that vehicle was, it was awful. Right? It was really bad. I don't know if anybody has rewatched that recently, like the A-10 trailer. Just listen to the voice acting, listen to the first like minute and a half where it's just people like wandering about. Like it was very poor, right? But so if you have a look at the Apex Predators trailer, and I'll actually stick it here, right? So it shows the MiG-29, I believe. So it shows the Tornado to start. It shows the Tornado and the MiG-29, right? And then it also showed the F-16. So would we class that as... It also showed like the SU-25 for some reason. Would we class that as a trailer which has a small amount of vehicles in it, or like only one or two vehicles? Like it had all three major vehicles of that update, right? Hey Aaron, nice to see you. But yeah, go back and watch that A10 teaser trailer. Or go back and watch the SU-25 one. The only thing that's good about the SU-25 one is literally its music. Everything else about it is awful. Then go and have a look at the new power trailer. And you'll see all the update new power trailer or groundbreaking, right? It's just much more hype if you see more vehicles as well. Like if they want to do the independent stories trailers, I think the way that they should do those is like those mini things that they've made, the Tales of Valor. The Tales of Valor should be individual vehicles. But an update trailer should be more than just one vehicle. Because an update is not just about one vehicle, it's about many vehicles. Most updates have a metric ton of vehicles added to them. Right? So the idea that only one or two or, you know, even three should be represented is crazy. Think about how many vehicles get added in like a War Thunder cycle, right? Like you have pretty much every update has maybe 50 vehicles. Like even let's see, last update, right? Let's see. Like, last update was Kings of Battle, right? So it had 28 new vehicles in it, okay? And that's actually seen as a small amount. Which is why this one here is going to be a big one. Right? And then the last update, so Sons of Attila, which came out about a month before it, right? So pretty soon before. It had 50 vehicles in it. 49 vehicles specifically, right? And all of the progression changes and everything, which is just kind of nuts. La Royale, which came out before it, so in June, 47 new vehicles. Sky Guardians, 36. Apex Predators, 42 new vehicles. So that F-16 trailer, which showed 3 vehicles, it had 42 new vehicles in it. Fire and Ice, 51 new vehicles. Drone Age, 42 vehicles. Danger Zone, so the F-14 update, you know, the one where they added the F-14 with that pretty cool trailer about the F-14, it had 42 new vehicles in it. 42. That's crazy. You know? That's absolutely nuts when you think about it. Like that, as a trailer, with only showing one, like, as a teaser trailer for the update, only showing one vehicle, when there's 42, which have been added? Crazy. Winds of Change, which was the A10 one. So that A10 trailer, which has that, some of the worst voice acting I've ever heard in my life in, right? That update, where they added the A10, had 54 new vehicles in it. Right? So you're averaging probably around 50 vehicles an update. Winged Lions, where they added Israel, 46 new vehicles. Groundbreaking, 27. Direct Hit, 38. Red Skies, 29. Right? You're averaging like 40 to 50 vehicles every update. And your teaser trailer is going to have one vehicle in it. Nah. If you want to do cinematics around individual vehicles, do them in the Tales of Valor series. Update teasers are supposed to tease the update, not just tease one vehicle. And if we're going to have a situation where updates are just now about one vehicle and nothing else, it's not going to work for me. I've never seen War Thunder like that. I know when it comes to social media, when it comes to advertisement, there's a lot of people who just focus on, you know, very specific parts of War Thunder and nothing else. That will never be me. I will always believe it is right to focus on all the different stuff which is coming out, because there are different things that different people enjoy and, you know, like playing. Fuck, yeah. But then we have Cute Poison EU. Hiya again. Hiya! Can you explain how the crew skills work if there is no full 5 needed for the tank? Namely, what happens to radio operator agility, field repair, etc.? Do you mean like, so the average skills? So like this stuff? Like the keen vision? I honestly think it still just averages out across, right? I don't think it just removes them. Because, so if we take the PG, which only has 3 crew, I don't think that just means that these ones are used. I could ask somebody about that, though. Because I'm not entirely sure myself, like, when it comes to these things. I have 1,000,000 points, though. I should probably use them. So, the PG, I suppose we can technically try and test it right now. So, the PG Z09 has a gunner, a commander, and a driver. So, it doesn't have a loader, right? So, the keen vision skill or the vitality skill, if I change this on this, it wouldn't make a difference. If I change the field repair on this, it also shouldn't make a difference, right? How would I even be able to check that, actually? Because I can't really check that in here. I don't know. Because logically, it would still average out across the board. But at the same time, I don't know how to check it. I'll tell you what, I'll get back to you on that one. Because I don't want to say it's one way or another, because I'm not sure. Because obviously it could be different than what I think it is. Which wouldn't be very fun, but you know how it is. Some things are different to the way that is seen. Okay, let's continue with this. So, Maxwell, have you ever considered building or buying model kits? You seem like the person to like these. I finished the Tiger 1 early kit lately, and I think there are many on what I can do with painting and more. If you want, you can recreate a historical photo or even go full sci-fi if you want. So I have done model kits in the past. I used to build them with my grandfather, because he was very much into World War II stuff, and I've also built them by myself a lot. The major issue with model kits is the price, for me. And I know that may sound a bit weird, because I should be in a stage in my life where economical stuff is a little bit better. And even though economical stuff right now, is a little bit better than it was when I was like a teenager, let's say, I still don't want to spend money on things like that until I'm completely fiscally secure. So I have a terror when it comes to my life, because I've seen it happen to too many people around me and too many of my mates, where basically, especially when it came to the pandemic, and especially when it came to in what's going on in Canada right now with the price of certain things such as food items, housing, and all of these different stuff, there is a massive squeeze going on for the general public, which hopefully won't go off, and hopefully will not burst everything. But it makes me not want to spend money on that stuff, because technically it is just kind of a hobby thing, and there wouldn't be any way of changing that hobby into money, which is something that I try and do with pretty much everything I do, because I'm very worried about, the economical probability of everything just kind of falling apart. Because I don't think in terms of what's happening this year or next year. I think about 10 years or 15 years. And what if I'm alive or not? Or what if I'm dead? So on and so forth, Like, those thoughts kind of go through my head. So I picked up a bunch of cards, like the Lord of the Rings MTG stuff. And that was honestly the first purchase I've made for myself in like 10 years. And, dropped a decent chunk of money. But if you, look at it over that period of time, then it is a small amount of money. Like, you're talking maybe 40, $50 a year, over that period for a singular hobby. In War Thunder, I don't pay for anything because of the partnership program, and before the partnership program, I didn't really buy anything anyway. And then when it comes to a lot of other parts of my life, when it comes to hobbies and things, I pick up books cheaply, from secondhand stores or stuff that's on offer. Everything I do is from a way of just trying to save or skim money, because I'm always worried about a time where I'm not able to provide for people if something goes wrong, and that's kind of something that goes through my head. So I would have to be set in life to have thoughts towards stuff like that. So what I mean by this is mortgage paid off, bills covered for the foreseeable future, emergency funds sorted out, and then also at the same time having investments that increase over time at a higher rate than inflation. And that's the bit that I'm struggling with right now, with in returns to, kind of fiscal responsibility. I have a lot of the other stuff sorted, like with the house stuff, pretty good and ready to go in some areas, but when it comes to a lot of the other things, such as basically trying to outlast inflation, like trying trying to make it so I'm making money on top of my money per year, which is larger than inflation, is very hard to do right now, since the standard bank interest rates are 1 to 3%, and then inflation last year, I believe, was 6.6 to 8%, even though the standard over the period of 40 years has been about 2.85 or 3. So yeah, that's something that goes through my head a lot. And whenever I look at a model kit, or whenever I look at something which would obviously bring me joy, but at the same time may cause, financial issues in the future, I just think about, okay, well, in the future, I could literally, at some point, let's say I'm like not around, I'm not able to work, or something kind of goes wrong, and I'm in a position where I can't provide. What would have that money done in the future, especially after, earning interest and then all of this stuff. So, and I know people always talk about like live and let live, and don't worry about that stuff, but I heavily worry about that stuff when it comes to the next generation, just because I don't want to be one of those people who just has to live off everybody else and also at the same time can't provide for my family. It's one of the things I've seen way too much with many people, and it makes me very sad. I don't ever want to get into that archetype. I want to be the person that can be relied on, which kind of, bleeds into a lot of other areas of my life. So, when I feel fully secure, and when I feel like I would never have to work a day in my life, and also other things, or if I can find a way to be able to monetize it in a way, whether I can make it part of the stream, whether I can make it part of YouTube stuff or things like that, then yeah, we can get it done. But just from a flat out cost perspective, it's not feasible. So then we have Type 10. Hey Tech, finally got the F-16 AJ, my first 12-0 jet, almost 4 years grinding Japan. It has been a ride, of pain and fun. I still need to continue ground, but that's longer for me. I used to struggle with SL, but now I print money without thinking. I've been trying to do the tunnel run in Southeastern City, if you know it. I hate Afghanistan and RRB. I just leave. I don't care. I'm not flying a map where I get nothing. It's a waste of time. Anyways, have a nice day, and I like pancakes. Well, thank you for the updates. Pancakes are good. You should try banana pancakes. So, take 3 bananas and an egg, mush up the bananas, whisk it with an egg, and then fry them basically like you would a pancake. Pretty healthy, and also tastes really good. So, yeah, simple as. Would highly recommend it if you're looking for some sort of meal. Just and it's healthy. I know a lot of people bring up like protein pancakes and things like that, but for me that's the way to go. That's the lovely stuff at the end of the day. So definitely give that a go. Also, day old mashed potato pancakes. Egg, and then what is it? Egg flour, one day old mashed potato, and then whatever other stuff you want to add as like flavoring. It's not bad, Works pretty well. Banana omelet? No, it's pancakes. It actually makes like a pretty, because of the consistency of the banana, it makes like a pancake. And yeah, it just tastes like pancakes. Like, I don't know. Sorry, it tastes like pancakes / banana, and you can add stuff to it if you want. I do it because it's healthy, but that doesn't always have to be the reason why people do things. I'm just worried about that style of things. But yeah, the funny thing about the Southeastern City one, just as like kind of a point to look at. So I remember when that map first came out, and I actually did a run on it, which was me kind of going through it and kind of showing what was in there and how it all worked, and it was funny because I set up this. I made a video on it, and I put it up on my channel because it was new at the time, and the funny thing that happened was the clip of me like going through the tunnel was like posted on Reddit, but the person had they downloaded the video and cropped out like my name and also cropped out like all of the audio and everything. So it basically looked like it wasn't me, but it was me because I crashed at the end and my name was there. But what was really funny was it got thousands of upvotes at the time, but if you actually attach my name to it, it would have got nothing. Which is it's one of those like funny little things in life to think about, like how the whole like perception thing is very important to a lot of people. What if I don't like banana? Can I substitute pancake mix? Of course you can, Abby. Nice to see you, Shizin. Hopefully you're doing good. I don't like the Afghanistan map because of spawning at altitude, so it just kills your engines. Like, it's not very fun. The thing to mention, Abby, though, is don't bother with pancake mix. Make your own. 1 cup of flour. Okay, 1 cup of flour. 2 tablespoons of sugar. 1 teaspoon of salt. 2 tablespoons of baking powder. And then mix them. Simple as. Then add a cup of milk, and then add a whisked egg, and then add, chocolate chips or whatever you want as a flavoring, whether it's cinnamon or whatever, and bang, Bob's your uncle. So much cheaper than buying the pancake mix, and really easy. Like stuff like the pancake mix and things like that. It's so much easier to buy the individual ingredients, and if you can do it on like a wholesale price as well, my god, like you make so much. It's so much cheaper doing that stuff, and also basically takes the same amount of time. So there's your pancake tip of the day. So then we have a stone Draveldo. Nice. You did GCSE cooking? I know how to make pancake mix. Who's mad lad insinuating I can't cook? You did GCSE cooking? My school didn't even offer that. Goddamn. That's where your love of cakes came from. It all makes sense. So I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I had a really dumb idea. A map where one could play a select few PT boats to assist tanks, a Volga rhythm map. I thought it would be particularly interesting to such a thing. It probably would be horribly balanced. But really thinking about it, I think with some tweaking to the gunners of the armoured riverboats, it could prove fruitful as an event thingy. Either way, the armoured riverboats I found have very fragile ammo racks and are generally fun to play against tanks and with the testing I've done. If it were up to you, how would you possibly throw together a Volga river map and armoured riverboats, duking it out with tanks and vice versa? Well, if it was up with me, I wouldn't, but I get where you're coming from. The general thing is if you wanted to do PT boats and tanks, it would work. Okay, so that's why I honestly think Gaijin in the back in the day wanted to just put in PT boats because they were still working on that idea of everything kind of molding together into a big map, or just always having stuff available to kind of fight each other, and it's a really cool idea, right? The simple fact is you could do that, like, and it would work, but the problem would be, what would the objectives be of the PT boats? Would you give them a capture point, right? Or would it just be a straight out death match in the water? Well, as long as it's PT boats, you could add it. Like, that's the thing. The major issue is when you go to bigger boats. Bigger boats don't work, and they never will. But PT boats will be fine. For me, I don't need to envision a mode because you could just stick them in if you wanted to. The only question is whether you give them a cap point or not. Like, how much agency do you want them to have compared to compared to some of the other machines that are in the game. I would actually like to see a game mode which has like PT boats versus, or not versus tanks, but like a mixture, right? So PT boats, planes, and then all that stuff. I think it would be incredibly fun. Like, I don't think we need to limit too many things in that way. God, this thing is deadly. Like, I honestly think a lot of the time, you know, people worry too much about the balance of PT boats, since they are something which is not, you know, always... It's kind of like a second thought nowadays when it comes to Naval, and it's kind of sad because it's the part of the game which is actually fun, in my opinion, for Naval. Like, a lot of people, I'm sure, play the big ships and enjoy shooting at each other, but when I think about the ones which are actually enjoyable, for me, it's always the smaller little machines, which make a comeback in my brain. So we have the only... Or the one Lilin, or the only Lilin. Again, TEC listens to this while playing. I finally reached 1k hours in the game, and coincidentally got the top ground 2 in the French line. God damn. Well done. Hold up. I just need to shoot this guy. By the way, if you haven't played this thing, highly recommend it. It's really good. It's basically just a boat with 240s on it. Same issue as always for me as for a ground RB player, Cass. I love them, having a good time, Cass. Spawned in, Cass. Wanting to play against tanks, Cass. 1k hours. My greatest impression of this game, sky shitting flies, that you can't just shake it off so easily. I loathe them and I refuse to play them. Why? Like, why? Why do you refuse to play them? Hey Stephen Kang, nice to see you. Like, what is the reason you refuse to play them? Why? Uh-oh. I'm dead. Why not have a full lineup, you know? Why do you have to limit yourself? There's no need. Thanks for the podcast. Since I just got bombed again, I have the perfect in real life analogy. It's like if pigeons gained sentience and held an eternal grudge against humanity. They drop their loads every chance they get, and while also strafing you like a rooster protecting their hens. Man, the ecstasy of having air RB with tanks actually fighting against tanks would be so good, and not planes dictating how your relaxing time is going to go. I mean, fair. I think in general, if you had air RB with tanks, that would mean that tanks would be even more dictatorial. Planes would be even more dictatorial. Hey Doy, nice to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing good. Like because, you know, it's air RB, and the maps are specifically made more for planes. So you'd probably get targeted even more, because people know where you are still. Because there's only certain areas you can spawn in. So yeah, I'm not sure I would say that's going to work too well. But you never know. Edit 2. I have no sympathy for cast players. We are seeing a descent into aggression. I have no sympathy for cast players. I've been bombed and strafed more than I've been killed by actual tanks in my past 5 sessions. And I've been counting. Even increasing points for cast just won't do justice to ground RB players. I mean, I think it would. Like, it would mean that this wouldn't happen as often. You know, it would be harder for you to die to it. I think that's the thing, right? That's a bit rough. The dying thing. I can't even be neutral about it even and just move on to the next match. My tolerance is down to the grave, and every other match is constant cast. Yes, there is a lot of cast in the game, and it's the way to dictate the game. I would highly advise you to play it. Like, don't hamstring yourself, please. War Thunder as a game can be pretty tough already. to play. There's no need to hamstring yourself. So it's harder to play. And the best part is the snail will most likely not even touch upon it. I'm sure they will, but the main, once again, right, okay. This is the analogy I'll use. You are in a square room. There is a door that is locked. There are no windows, but a light in the middle. Okay? On a chair, you have a bunch of different, like, you have a bunch of different lockpicks, you have a bunch of different ways, and a sledgehammer. Okay? To open the door. What you have decided to do in this instant, with even trying or testing, you know, if the sledgehammer works, or testing if the other thing works, like the lockpicks, you have taken it upon yourself to run into a wall over and over and over and over again, and you're wondering why you are concussed. Like, just give the planes a go. You know, it isn't like you're not becoming a demon, right? Because one of the biggest counters to CAS is aircraft, right? And not every aircraft is a CAS plane. And there's a lot in the French tech tree which are very good at air superiority. You know, don't, if doing something is hard enough, you don't need to make it harder. That's all I'm saying. Did that actually count? Yeah, nice. So we have Toshio again. A single Little John Squeezy Boy would make a nice event premium to test the waters. No worries about module balance if it's a rank 1 or 2 premium. After all, and the data can be collected on performance difference from the standard vehicle. Yeah, pretty much, you know. I don't even understand what they're complaining about. I can barely ever get the bomb before I get panzered at the air spawn. Well, the CAS issue is the same as a lot of issues. It's very focused around certain areas. Right? A player who plays French ground doesn't always necessarily have a panzer on their team. And the ITO got nerfed into oblivion because fuck you, I suppose. Like, I don't even know. Like, sorry. You just get gooned. And oh, by the way, we're also gonna buff a bunch of munitions for the nations too. So yeah, because realism is incredibly important in these matters for some reason. But yeah, I agree about the Squeezy Boy stuff. Like, you can literally, with the Squeezy Boy, the Little John adapter, which is being called the Squeezy Boy, you could just add it in as a premium. Or you know, the Harry Hopkins. Or just Tetrarch with it. You know, it really wouldn't be that hard, I don't think. I don't know why they haven't done it, if I'm honest with you. It might just be they don't think it will be that interesting to people. Then we have Psycho Barnes. It would be nice if they would bring back the ability to transfer your account from console to PC, but I feel the game is going in the right direction. Yeah, the game's doing really good right now, and I agree. Like, I honestly think whenever I've chatted to stuff like that, it's just like, it's literally like the market stuff again. When I think about should something be available for the game, right? There are a few things which obviously go through the mind about should it be added. Most of those things which are gone through are like economical stuff. And economical stuff obviously doesn't matter to the average player, but it matters from the company angle, right? Now, my thoughts for these things is I don't know how Gaijin would ever not benefit from people being able to transfer their accounts, especially if it's to PC. Because, of course, when you think about, you know, PC, you've got the market and you've got extra avenues of monetization which are not available to which are not available to the console market. So it would actually make more sense to have more people play on PC than console, because you can monetize them better. So the issue is not on the end of Gaijin, it's on the end of Sony, because obviously Sony doesn't want to lose customers, or Microsoft, they don't want to lose customers, because then they get 0% of the pie instead of a percentage of the pie. So I don't know if it's Gaijin who are limiting these things. For me, whenever I think about this stuff, it is kind of from the other way. So that's why I always say, like with the market stuff, the people you need to talk to are not the Gaijin guys, because there is no reason why they wouldn't want it available to everybody. The people you need to chat to are the console dudes, like the guys who run the consoles, and obviously we don't know what the contracts are when it comes to all those things, but that would also be something to look at. But, you know, those agreements can always change. So I don't know. Right. So then we have MJ083803. There we go. Tech, dude, how was your week? Dude, bro! Yeah, it was good. Bro! No, it was good. Like, my back is fully sorted now, so I can go back to full-on weight training, which is really fun. Always enjoyed weight training. It's something which will always be fun for me, and I'm glad I'm back doing it, along with all the cardio. Changing up, you know, the way that I'm eating some food. Well, not the way that I'm eating foods, but like the amount of foods that I'm eating, and also going in a bit of a calorie deficit, where previously I was in a calorie surplus to be able to build some muscle. So now we're going maintenance on the muscle, and deficit to lose the fat. And I feel pretty good so far. Been doing it for like 3 or 4 days now, and usually this is the hardest point, but right now it actually feels pretty good, so I'm happy. Like it's gone very well at the moment, so I'm hoping that it continues to go well, and if it doesn't, then that sucks and we'll have to change things. So I'm not too worried though. Like I've done this many times before, so doing it again, it won't shock me or, you know, make me do anything crazy. I think I'll be fine. Crit that guy so many times. Do you think the KV-1B should get moved to the Finnish subtree for Sweden? I think the only reason it's still in the German tech tree because it's a rare vehicle. Also, for crying out loud, why is that damn thing still at 4.0? I don't know if it is because it's an event vehicle, because we have a bunch of event vehicles that were added to the game way before the tech trees were added to the game, and then later on they were added to those tech trees. Hey Alan, nice to see you. Is already known what BR the M1HC premium will be? Well, since we already have the M1A1HC in the game, I'm guessing it's going to be the same BR as that. If it isn't, then I don't know, hell would have kind of broken loose. So you can just check the BR of the M1A1HC and it'll tell you what it will be. But the interesting thing for me about all this stuff in regards to, dude, can you die? In regards to the KV-1B is we've had vehicles like the Type 62 added, right? We've had vehicles like the Type 62 added. We've had the Fong Kong, which was one of, I think, the only event vehicle which was ever an AA. Is that right? I'm pretty sure it was. So there's that. So stuff like that has already happened in the past. It isn't anything that's like new or whatever. So they could easily add the KV-1B alongside it and stick it in the tree. Will they? Probably not. The basic reason is because it's, as you said, overpowered. And if they put it in the tree and made it available for everybody, there would be calls to nerf it or up its BR or do what they should have done many years ago, which is put it up in BR. Yeah, the SDR V81 as well, as Dog said, with the missiles, the SS-11. That was also something that they did. Like, these things have happened a lot. You know, or the technically the Israeli premiums as well. Like, they moved them about. So, like, it's not something that could not be done. Okay. Jesus. It's not something that couldn't be done. It could definitely be done. No. Oh. I was so close to greatness. So yeah, it's something that could definitely be done. I just don't know. Well, I know exactly why they haven't done it, and it's literally because of the fact that it's broken, and it should have gone up in BR many years ago. But we finally got the ZIS-5 to go up in BR. It took the game to have like 3 layers of decompression, but it happened. And now, hopefully, with the changes that they've made to a lot of other things, hopefully we will see it happen with those vehicles. Why do full wallet warriors not get any SPAs? Because it's one of those things that, well, you got the ZUT 37, I suppose, but I think the major reason is because you want those things in the tech tree, so they're available to everybody. You know? Yeah, the Italian aircraft too. So yeah, there's a bunch of different things that, you know, a bunch of different standards. I honestly think it's just because it's broken, you know? Alright, here we go. So we have Pragan Kumar. Namaste, Tech Love from India. Namaste. So my questions. 1. I grinded Germany to A-Tone, USSR to A3, and don't want to grind till top tier. What tech tree should I start next? My favorite tank is the T-44 122. 122 is pretty fun. America or Britain. You know, you don't need to go all crazy or try a bunch of different things. America or Britain. Britain will give you a completely different playstyle to the rest. America is also pretty good, so you can play either of those. Both of them have a good rank 1 to 5. Sweden is also one, which is kind of interesting, but if you're not interested in top tier, then it's not that interesting. So maybe, yeah, I'd go Britain or America. Like Britain if you want something different, America if you want something that's very powerful alongside your already pretty powerful nations, you know. Do-do-do. Non-pen? Calm down. What's that about? 2. Are the battle passes worth it to grind? I'm having very fun spending USSR 6.3. The balance changes really help. Yes, the battle passes are definitely worth the grind. So, even after they've made the value less in the battle passes, so now they're more akin to what makes more sense monetarily, since you can actually, you know, play the battle passes and straight up, if you play one battle pass and grind it to level 125, then you get the next battle pass for free if you want it, or you can sell the vehicles from the battle pass, right? So both of those are very powerful options and can give you access to Gaijin coin, which you can then purchase other stuff with, or you could, you know, literally just pay for the next battle pass. So if you buy one battle pass, that can be equivalent to infinite battle passes. Does that make sense? So if you are already grinding the game at a decent level, if you are focusing on dailies and challenges, which you can do now if you have 2 tech trees up to that point, then yeah, I honestly think it will be worth it. It's not crazy expensive, the battle pass, and also at the same time, it will give you opportunities and challenges to be able to play different nations anyway. Such as in the Battle Pass this time, there is a mission to play 8 separate nations. So you have to get 8 separate nations to rank 3, and have a bit of fun with it. So I think overall, it's not a bad idea to do, and definitely not a. It's one of the better value for money things in the game, because of the amount that you get out of it, and also if you already have premium time, you know, the $40 a year one. If you buy it on anniversary, then I think overall it's a very good deal. So then we have the Pua. Only thing I want is a buff Macabre armor to what it is. Well, if you can ask the Israeli state to announce what the Macabre armor is, that would be fantastic. So then, we can get it in the game. They're a bit busy right now, so not sure how well it'll go, but it's worth an ask. Bit busy doing other things, but you know how it is. I think in general, as I said previously, I think it would be better for all the people who worry about top tier armor or think about it at night in their dreams. Just don't bother with it. There's no need. It will never bring you happiness. It will never bring you dreams. So we have your cut G. Now that we have subtrees for tanks, helis, and naval, I'd like to wonder how far are we from subtrees for air. Britain getting the Commonwealth, self-explanatory. France the same, and so on for everyone else. We have a subtree in air, the Finnish one. So, I don't think stuff like that is too far off. The aviation tech trees of most nations are usually a lot better off than the ground ones. But the Finnish tech tree and the Swedish tech tree kind of shows that, they're already doing stuff like that, which is good. So I think in general, that's okay. And they'll add in a lot more stuff during that time too. Or hopefully they do, It's always nice for them to do that. Just really depends on what you would add. It's always the question, right? So we have Suckass from Kiev. Hi Tech. Have you ever noticed that Guardian always stops making any OP vehicles after they create some Soviet freak? They stop making meta pass vehicles after the PT-7657. They stop making OP vehicles in the crafting event after the 279. And OP premiums continue to be made like the VDAR, but since it's not Soviet, they balanced it in less than a month, raising its BR. I still don't understand how the T-55 AM1 remains at BR 8.7, and the Leopard 1 T-54 OA40 AMX 3072 remains at 8.0. Well, the Leopard 1 got bumped up because it was 7.3 for the longest time. The T-54, right, okay. The problem with trying to depict a real life setting in a game, whether it's looking at landscape, whether it's looking at vehicles, whether it's looking at anything, is you are going to have technological gaps and also different advantages based on natural progressions. For example, the Berlin map in War Thunder has fundamental problems with it because it is based on the Second World War Berlin. Right? And that means that they cannot change it to make it balanced because it is set in a historical setting. Just like a bunch of other stuff. Right? The other problem is Enlisted has well, not the other problem, but the same problem Enlisted has, where it has these historical settings which look really nice and really fun and really interesting, and they don't fit in the game all the time, and they can't work in the game all the time. Because of the fact that you have a bunch of different, you have a bunch of different vehicles or a bunch of different nations that come together and they don't fit on the map. Okay? The main thing about this, though, is you're just completely forgetting about all of the other vehicles that are added in the game, which are pretty much overpowered when it comes to premiums. And since I can see your name and see there might be a little bit of bias here when it comes to certain ideas or certain thoughts, I don't think it's worth going down. There have been many overpowered premiums, many overpowered event vehicles, many overpowered things since those vehicles were added to the battle pass or events or premiums. So there's just not really anything to go on or through. Just depends on how you see these things. And some people see them in certain ways, other people see them in others. No other way of really going through it, if I'm honest with you. Hey Sneaky Giraffe, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. Alright. Then we have Wee Hee Hee. Wee Hee. There we go. Hello Tech. Hi. Hope you're well. I'm doing alright. Last Tech Talk I asked about euthanasia. Seemed like it was a very personal question. I'm sorry. Oh, you don't have to apologize. It was a very good question. Like it's not that it's. I mean, certain parts of it are personal because it affects basically everybody around. But you know, it affects family members and stuff. But it's an important talking point because it's something that's going to become more and more prevalent as time goes on because, well, people are getting unhappier, basically. So it's going to be something that more people try and go towards because they believe it's the correct way. So it's a good thing to talk about. You know, don't ever apologize for asking a question. At the end of the day, I can always just say, sorry, I don't want to answer that, you know. So never feel ashamed or feel bad for that stuff. There's no need. I think it's important to have different talking points and different ideas, you know, chat about. Like how this Asheville is completely worthless as a vehicle. I'm not sure that these talks meant to be only War Thunder related questions or anything. Might ask something, another comment. Thanks for answering. Still have a good day. I mean, I think the way to put it is the same as everything. Obviously, you know, we're playing War Thunder and it's around War Thunder, but it doesn't necessarily have to be about War Thunder. It could be around, like, general gaming. It can be around anything, you know, fitness, working out, like, whatever, you know, interest the person is into. Like, I don't want to make it so it is just about War Thunder stuff, because that's not how I even see War Thunder. So for me, War Thunder is what I class as a secondary game. So what is a secondary game? Well, a lot of the time you play a secondary game, you are usually doing something primary. Whether it's reading a book, whether it's watching a TV show, whether it's, you know, watching a movie, whether it's talking to people. It's something that is not just a... it's something that is not just done by itself. So a lot of War Thunder in most of the modes, the only mode that I think is not like that is ground. You know, ground you have to like concentrate quite a lot, but in aviation or naval, like what I'm playing now, the basic thing and the way I see it is a you do this alongside doing other stuff, which is why I actually really enjoy playing War Thunder while streaming, because it means that I can do it and then also focus on a bunch of other stuff that's going on at the same time and kind of chat about those things. So a lot of the conversations we've had on stream or a lot of conversations we've had all over the place haven't been about War Thunder. Like, some of them are, you know, as always. Some of them are about War Thunder, but a lot of them aren't. So if you want to ask any question or whatever, just ask it. Nobody's gonna bonk you on the head or anything. Just have a bit of fun and go through what you want to go through. There we go. Candid's going well. Candid's still very good. I'm just dying to weird stuff. Alright, so we have well GG, bro. Hey Tech, how are you? How's the health? Health is going great. You know, we're doing really good. What is real shatter, and can you explain it? Right. Let's see if I can find that post about it, because it kind of goes through it incredibly well. Well, it's basically the idea of when something penetrates a certain vehicle, what used to happen is it would kind of go in as a mass and then it would spread out over a specific area. Okay? Now, the way that real shatter now works, and how it has worked for the longest time, is the simple fact that it now creates individual fragments inside of this. Here, I've actually found the Reddit post. There you go. I'll post it there. But basically, the way that it works is it enters a vehicle, and then it creates its in each thing that penetrates the vehicle has an individual amount of fragments which are attached to it, and then those fragments can move to different areas, right? So the fragments travel from the explosion point of the shell and deal kinetic damage based on their energy or whatever they collide with. So that's the fragments that are created once the penetration happens. Then you have a HE aura around that, right? Which then causes damage to different components that are around the place. Now, the thing about real shatter is it's one of those things that for a while was the boogeyman. It was the thing to blame everything on, you know? Your grandmother died, real shatter. You know, Hitler's risen from the dead, real shatter. You know, global warming has, you know, decided to nuke the moon somehow through Mother Nature, real shatter. So it just became the boogeyman word that everybody would use for aircraft, because they added it to aircraft and didn't really talk about what it was. They then, when it came to real shatter, added more fragments to a lot of the guns, which didn't have that many, and now guns were doing more damage. So there you go, real shatter was fixed. But there was no problem with the system in the first place. The problem was the fact that there wasn't a lot of fragments. But then also, at the same time, a lot of people started blaming it for stuff that just didn't make any sense. And, you know, they started blaming it for guns which didn't even have real shatter attached to it. So it was a system that was created to deal with a problem where rounds would do like a specific amount of damage to something, and then they would just stop doing damage. Therefore, they would like black part of an inner wing and then do nothing else, which isn't very realistic. Real shatter attempted to make this more realistic, and at the moment has. The issue that people had with it is it didn't do enough damage. That is literally it at the end of the day. So it's just a case of people needing a boogeyman and smashing people in the head with it. So now what people are doing, which is what I said would happen, because this is what happens every time stuff like this happens. Now everybody's blaming desync again, because that is the actual problem when it comes to aircraft damage, and people don't like talking about it because it can't be fixed. Because desync relies on, you know, obviously the server's connections and all that. The only way you fix that is improving people's internet and also improve the servers. which both can technically happen, but one of them ain't on Gaijin's end. And they can only control one of the variables out of two, which leads to issues, you know. So that's pretty much it. How all of this stuff works. As I said, I put in a post in the actual Twitch stream chat, so you can read about it, because it's probably the most concise and correct way of explaining how it all works, without, you know, taking out a lot of the stuff. It kind of reminds me of the whole, you know, fragmentation stuff when it came to ground vehicles for Soviet MBTs, where, you know, the people looking and finding specific parts of the files that fit narratives and then not taking into account anything else, and then just believing that that is the only factor that affects things and that is what goes on, and yada yada yada. So it's just how it goes every time. In games like War Thunder, there isn't ever just an individual variable that affects stuff that much, unless it is to do with the server stuff. But that is a different conversation compared to how game mechanics work. So then we have Clyder. If I do fake leak list, do you read it? I think I have some funny ideas. Anyways, great work you're doing here. Keep it up. Maybe for April Fools. When it comes to leak list stuff, like, I got really annoyed with the F-16 leak, because I specifically... Okay, so we've talked about this in the past. There are some things that I know that are coming before they come. This is because of people that I chat to and people that I've known for many years and kept, you know, decent friendships up with them. And the idea is, you know, we chat every once in a while and we talk about stuff that's coming or is already here and how things might change in the future, so on and so forth. But I have never been a source for a leak, and never will be a source for a leak, because I don't like the idea of it, and I actually don't think it's good to leak stuff all the time. I actually think, even though like a lot of people like leak stuff, you know, they like chatting about it, it's actually negative for the game, because it means that Gaijin can't, well, basically their marketing department can't do what they want to do, which is hype up the stuff in certain ways. Therefore, you have a bunch of people who are basically being paid to do nothing, and that's, you know, one of the secret arms of companies, whether it's like content creators or whether it's other areas that you see. And so what this pretty much means is the thing about like the leak stuff is I cover pretty much all the ones that I see, because after the F-16 one, I got really, really sick and tired of when that thing got announced. People got super annoyed at me because I'd made the video taking the piss out of the leak and basically saying it didn't matter if it was real or not. The major issue with this is now you have something which can't be hyped up anymore, which is only, you know, it means that nobody is looking forward to the update. Instead, they're looking forward to information about the update, which is what has happened over the last period of time, and it just makes people sad and kind of annoyed at things and always trying to grasp for new information, which was the point I was making in that video, and it's why I labeled it as it was. It wasn't making fun of people who believed the thing. It was making fun of the fact that the last 2 years of War Thunder is not actually about what is coming to the game. It is always about the next step and when the next step turns up. And that sucks. Also, I can't target people anymore with my ship. That's kind of cool. Why is that happening? Yeah, I literally can't target this guy. Wonderful. So, for me, that's crap, you know? Like, I would kind of like a bit of hype around things, and I would like it to be more so we didn't have these leaks. and I'm sure Gaijin would, you know, kind of feel the same way. But because of how their stuff works and how decentralized all of the different stuff is, it's just not possible because there are so many people who know so many different things, and you can just kind of put them together. The thing, at least for me, to do with all this stuff is the reason why I cover the things is because I think it's fun just to have a look at kind of new vehicles, not necessarily ones that are coming to the game, but ones which, you know, could easily come to the game, and also different people's ideas about these things. And because I just want to kind of make, in a way, a mockery of a lot of the leaked stuff that you find around the place. Because nowadays, 90% of it is crap. But people just eat it up for some reason. And just, as I said, completely forget about all of the different things from like a year ago or 2 years ago. So I made a conscious decision after the F-16 one. Right, do I just like not do any of these videos and not cover this stuff, even though I like covering them because I like talking about them, because I just have a bunch of people who are just pissed at me because they keep saying, you know, I'm saying stuff that I'm not saying? Or do I just go full bore and just go nuts? And I've decided, in my wonderful wisdom, that nuts is the way forward. So, pretty much as simple as that. Hey Zara, nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Hassat. Hopefully you're doing good. So yeah, that's pretty much it at the end of the day. So yeah, why not? And the Torp says, man, it's okay if you don't make videos for a couple of days. Yeah, I know. But there's always stuff to talk about. Like, that's the thing. I like making videos. I think it's fun. You know, I don't find it fatiguing. I don't find it, you know, kind of crazy. Sometimes I find the thing I find fatiguing is sometimes the conversations around a lot of things, because I will have the same conversations over and over and over again sometimes, and that can be fatiguing. But the making the videos part or the streaming part or doing all that stuff, nah, it's pretty easy actually. It's my relaxation period, you know. And I know people find that weird because, you know, you always hear from, so, you know, if you have a look around, you'll find a lot of content creators who talk about how hard it is to, you know, to make videos or to keep people interested, and that might be the case, you know, but for me, I'm not really bothered with that. I'm just bothered with having fun, and I'm just bothered with having fun and enjoying myself. So the time when you won't see videos from me is the time when I'm busy in my real life stuff. That's pretty much it. Hey, Boratax, nice to see you too. 996, 997, 991. Hopefully you're doing good, man. Hopefully life's alright. And you're doing well. Hopefully you're doing good. We're just doing the tech talk stuff. To show again, our man, Read Us to Sleep, Tech, 1985 by George Orwell would make a delightful 1st of April gift. Bonus points if you're a sandwich at the time. The major issue with 1984 is it's quite long. It's 11 hours. So, maybe a chapter. How about that? Maybe a chapter. So then we have Azos. I like the thumbnail. Well, that's good. I can't remember what the thumbnail was, so I'm sure it's a lot of fun. I DM'd you a code on Discord to give away during the stream. It's a 3-month trial code for Game Pass PC, but only first-time users. Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah, I can do that. Do you want it done today or tomorrow? We can do it tomorrow. If you want to. It's up to you what you want to do. Today. Woo. Alright. So we have Ivan. The first rule of CC Club, don't talk about CC Club. Of course they'll lie to your face, what do you expect? To fire our boy? They'll tell him a few words and send him back to work. He's young, he'll learn. I mean, the dude is like in his mid-40s, but I get what your point is. But yeah, it's the major thing about the whole thing is they know I'm not gonna kick up a stink because I don't care enough about it, and also at the same time it's like when it comes to what happens in the areas like the CC Discord or other places where I'm not, well, it's not like you're not legally allowed to or not, but it's like they basically say that, you know, it would be nice if this stuff was stayed private, and all of that stuff I do keep private. I never talk about anything I see on the see on any of the official CC areas. Or the like just like the leak stuff, right? I only talk about stuff that's public. It just might be public in areas that you don't see. Such as a lot of the leaks recently, the actual legitimate leaks, I should say. So not the random ones. They're from China. They're from China, on good old Baidu. So. The Chinese leakers have been on fire the last few updates. So whoever became that liaison for Gaijin may wanna have a think. Hey, Abosa, nice to see you, man. But yeah, I feel like honoring agreements is very important to me, and it's why I do constantly. Like I don't think I've ever broken an agreement that I have with somebody when it comes to any of the online stuff. There has been a few times in real life where I've had to break agreements, but that's more down to people not fulfilling their end of the bargain, especially when it comes to work stuff. Like there's been a few times where that's happened and hasn't gone very well. So yeah. Luckily not recently, which is nice. Very true, Papa Stalin. It's Billy time. Surprised they're not on Billy and they're only on Baidu. But yeah, is how it is. Let's go over here. So we have Matt Beer. You need to talk about BR, and if one more person says the wait times will be longer, if you get your BR, I'll kill them. In Naval, you get 6-minute wait times and still don't get your BR. What? No, okay. The reason why the wait times are so long in Naval is because even with the BR spread of 1.0, there are not enough players in that BR bracket to actually get into a match. Right? So if you made it so you could only get into a match at your BR and nothing else, you would never find a match. You'd be sat there for days. Because people would queue up and then lose interest and then move on. Because nobody would find a match. So it isn't right. There is not a linear correlation between amount of time spent in queue and likelihood of getting a match at your BR. Like your specific BR, not your BR range. Okay? That isn't why Naval queues are long. It's because people aren't queuing up in those areas, right? Usually what happens with me in Naval is the first queue that I get for the day is quite long. And then after that it's quite short because you basically keep getting into games with the same players over and over again. Because you're at the same BR as they are. And they're getting into your games, right? So that's how it goes. Queue times as an idea is, once again, something that people want to at zero. And whenever people talk about BR decompression, you know, they talk about, well, I would wait around for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 5 minutes or an extra 2 minutes if it meant better matchmaking. None of these things you can guarantee. Absolutely zero. Which is why it's not a good thing. It's not a good way of sorting it out. They've even talked about it so many times, man. Like, I don't... Another thing I caught a absolute metric ton of flack about back in the day, by the way, was that. And it's all true. Every single piece of it is true. I just got bombed by like 4 different people. All I need to do is cap. Come on. Oh, just let me cap. So I can get this damn thing done. Yeah. Right, 2 out of 5. But yeah. It's... The way that you're seeing it is the wrong way around. Queue times are long because there's less people at your BR range queuing up. So if you wanted people at your BR range, or if you wanted to play at your BR range, and by your BR range you mean at like a specific BR, so like 3-0, 4-0, whatever, your queue times would be astronomically longer than even that 6 minutes. Hey, Drac. Oh man, come on, find out, point out anyone, play one match with T26-4 then. Well, that's the thing, like, I'm not... With War Thunder and the way that War Thunder is, I honestly don't think life... Like, I honestly don't think it's worthwhile just, like, going after people on the internet. It doesn't actually do anything. That should be... that... Like, we talked about this last time, right? If you actually sit down and have a look at a lot of the people who have been gone after by many others, whether justified or not, the end result, nothing really changes. The individual doesn't change their actions. Like, you can literally look at that. What was that guy called? EDP? You can literally look at the changes that he's made in his actions, which are literally zero. He made absolutely zero changes to the way that he was, even after he was caught, even after he was publicly ridiculed and everything went on. He didn't change a thing and did the same thing again. If you have a look at a lot of people who are not very nice people, like, it doesn't fix anything. And what ends up happening is if you're in a position of doing it, which is a position of weakness, then you'll just catch a metric ton of flack anyway. So, at the moment, when it comes to life, I'm in a position where I have a lot of other things to just kind of focus on. So I'll just do that stuff first. And then if I get bored one day, we'll start talking about all the other stuff when I'm kind of done with everything that's going on. Because that, to me, is the way to deal with this situation. Because I don't see anybody right now who is profiteering off, or anybody who is, you know, actively just like, you know, throwing around false narratives to be able to push things around. But you can see a bunch of them in the past. Like, I mean, if you really want a good rabbit hole for a CC, go and have a look at oh, what the hell was his name? Go and have a look at is it Avarak? No, that's not right. Who was that Russian guy? Let's see. Russian YouTuber jailed. Alkanafter. If you want a really interesting story, have a look at Alkanafter. He was arrested in Latvia last year and was accused of treason and espionage. But also, back in the day, he was a reason why someone got fired from Gaijin. A guy called Pavel. So yeah, it's if you want a fun story, have a look at Alkanafter, because all of that stuff, well, all of the major stuff is public about him. Just to give you kind of like a TLDW, back in the day, Gaijin, or not, sorry, Gaijin didn't do it, but this individual called Pavel, who used to have a similar job to what BVVD does now, basically he decided to sign kind of a or create a contract for Alcanafta where he would get paid to be able to make content about War Thunder and in more of kind of like an official capacity. Now, the problem with this is when certain videos were made, Pavel didn't like this and actually ended up DMCAing a bunch of Alcanafta's stuff, kind of destroying his channel, which is a bit of a problem because of the whole difference between content creator and company angle, right? And this was a company silencing a critic or silencing somebody who was involved in their stuff, which is bad. You know, you're not really supposed to do that at the end of the day. No matter what your company is or what you're supposed to do, there's supposed to be a direct line, but a fine line between the two areas, right? Kind of like the whole journalist thing and game company thing. So, what ended up happening was he got fired. Pavel, like basically Anton got brought in. Anton went, what the hell is going on? Bye. And just got rid of him. No questions asked. You screwed up. Goodbye. Right? So that's where a lot of the things about, you know, Gaijin abusing content creators or whatever, like that single moment was basically the only one where it ever happened, and the guy got instantly gibbed. He just got instantly fired straight away. So he disappeared and went. And then Alcanafta ended up making more like War Thunder content still, but also like history content, right? And he used to post on VK, he used to post on YouTube quite a lot, and ended up getting into another copyright issue with a Russian media company, because a lot of the videos that he was creating was using footage from these different companies, because he was making, as I said, like historical videos. So the company DMCA'd his channel into the ground, and since they were a mega company and he wasn't, fighting it was pretty much impossible, especially since he was in the wrong. Right? So that happened, and then he started streaming, because they went after everything. They didn't just go after his YouTube channel, they went after his VK, they went after everything. And that's exactly what they did. So, after that, what they ended up doing was he actually ended up streaming on Twitch for a little bit, which was kind of interesting, and also created another YouTube channel, which, you know, was not DMCA hit, to get around this stuff. So then, what ended up happening was the invasion of Ukraine started. And Alcanafta, being Alcanafta and having issues in the past with these, decided he was going to start live streaming not just War Thunder, but mainly a live map of Russia invading Ukraine, and basically discussing it and talking about it while living in Latvia. Now, on those streams, he said a lot of very unsavory things about Ukraine and also what should have gone on. Because I don't know when he just, like, obviously I don't know the guy, but he's made a lot of negative decisions in his life when it comes to how to deal with things, as may have been worked out by this point. So what ended up happening after this is he got arrested in Latvia for, as I said, he was arrested for treason and espionage, because Latvia, along with many other Eastern European countries, have many rules about you are not allowed to, like, goad people into, like, going against the state, because they don't want a return to the USSR or anything similar to that. And yeah, so I'm guessing he got found guilty, because everything I saw, he was pretty bloody guilty. But I don't know what happened to him after that. He kind of disappeared. There was a note about him going back to Russia in kind of like a plea thing, but I don't know if that actually happened or what happened in that setup. But yeah, I haven't heard anything about him since, because to be honest, I haven't really paid attention. I'm not really interested in following I'm not really interested in following people who are war propagandists of any ilk, you know? He got out on bail and fled to Russia. Yeah, I think that's what I heard too. But I've never actually seen any confirmation of it. Just that, you know, that, so... So, yeah, he's probably somewhere in Russia. He's probably still streaming because he can't do anything else. And that's kind of how it goes, you know? Thank you for the subscription, Panzer Blitz. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. So yeah, fun times. So that guy's definitely one to look at. Hell of a history. At the end of the day, hell of a history as a person. But nah, as I said before, pretty much like 90 to 95% of the interactions I've had when it comes to everything have been super positive. You know, like there's a lot of CCs that are really just nice people, and generally, you know, they just enjoy the game and like playing it. The issues I always have are the people who play it but seem to detest the game. I always find that very odd. And obviously, when it comes to Gadget employees, you know, Oxy is always fantastic. I've never had a negative interaction. Esmin as well. I mean, those two put up with a lot of stuff I feel like they shouldn't have to put up with, which is just stuff that is either out of their control or things that they just shouldn't be blamed by, but they do, because life isn't fair at the end of the day for people. But yeah, it just kind of is how it is. Let's see. I'm doing well, Panzer Blitz. Like, life is good. I can't be mad. Like, everything feels okay. Hopefully life's good for you too, man. Hopefully you're doing well. But no, I'm in a situation where everything feels nice. So, you know, happy. The Gates of Hell DLC has been really fun to play, if not quite mentally taxing. And then also at the same time, the playing War Thunder has been pretty chill, which has been nice. I've been enjoying life. I actually watched him for a very long time. He was very rude towards Ukrainians, even in 2016, 2019. Well, it isn't really a surprise, because of, as I said, what he got up to. So, but yeah, it just kind of sucks. One of the most annoying things, at least for me, in the last decade has just been the casual acceptance that everything has to be political, especially stuff like video games. It's just made me kind of annoyed, but it's not a lot you can do about it. It's just how it is. Oh shit. There we go. Do. Hopefully at some point it won't be the case, and hopefully we can, you know, have something that is independent from all the mess that is in real life. You aren't a fan of jingoists and their ilk? Jingoists? What is a jingoist? I have no idea what that word means. It's a fun word though. So we have piggy stick. I need to get this cap on, so I'm just going to focus on this first. Or at least try to. Whether I do or not is interesting. Oh god. No, 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 no. Please. I'm a child. If he hits me with those, I just die. Okay, come on. Yeah, nice. Alright, 3 out of 5. There we go. So we have Hello Tech. I'm formerly known as Just for YT before I changed my YouTube name. But I have some questions or whatever you could say these are. Random acts of violence. How about that? I always enjoyed that name for things. Extreme patriotism, especially in the form of aggressive or warlike foreign policy from Oxford Languages. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, it's not very fun, like this stuff like that. I've never enjoyed it really. Number 1. I'm thinking about getting into content creation, but I heard that YouTube is still like being married as really only making videos on one game. I don't think that's the case. I think if you have a personality which can fit those things, you know, which is entertaining to watch, I think generally you'll be able to succeed no matter what you play. A lot of YouTubers have kind of shown that. But for me, I mean, I play a bunch of different games. I put a lot of them up in different places. The main thing I would say is it depends what you're going into it for. Like for me, I do content creation because I enjoy it, and it's kind of like the relaxing part of my day where I can just kind of sit down and talk about stuff and go through things after, whether it's a stressful or a busy day, or whether it's from like whether it's like harder to do or easier to do. I always know I have this staple of, you know, making videos and streaming, which I kind of like. I would say if you're trying to get into it for the money, there are much easier ways of making money. I always think content creation should be a side hustle. Having a genuine passion in something is kind of useful too, but the only thing you can do is kind of try, right? The main thing is to not get sucked into like buying all of the gear and buying all the software and the hardware. Build that up over time and just get yourself an okay mic and get yourself an understanding of how software works. Number two, I'm also thinking about getting a PC to make content creation easier. Yeah, PCs are definitely needed if you're looking to do YouTube stuff. Thank you for the subscription, Pearly Honan. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. If you don't use a PC for content creation, you're going to have a bit of a rough time. So, yeah, I would highly recommend that. If I do get a PC, is there any way I could get my PlayStation War Thunder account on PC? That would be something to contact support about, unfortunately. It would be wonderful to hear your opinions on. Well, yeah, I mean, getting a PC is good, but don't get it for content creation. Get a PC, right, so all of these things come after you start understanding the basic rules around things. So, what do you want to make content around? Do you want... Maybe you don't need a mega PC because you're going to do readings. Maybe you do heavy editing, so you need a powerful motherboard. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just run everything through a graphics card. The main thing is to understand how stuff such as OBS works, how stuff like Audacity works, how levels for microphone is important, and how making the picture look nice is important, right? Once you have those down, then you can start worrying about everything else that's around it. For me, a lot of my content is about discussion. You know, it's about talking about stuff and trying to kind of like put together different dots and having a bit of fun, because that's what I enjoy doing. Nice to see you, Brian. Hopefully you're doing well. Yeah, if you decide to do content creation when if you're on console, you'll need a capture card, but that's a secondary thing. You'll also still need a PC to kind of process it and do it. But yeah, the main thing is you need to do it as a hobby. Don't do it as a career path. It's a really bad idea to do as a career path. As I've said many times, like, content creation is one of those things that it isn't about that it takes a lot of time, right? Because time is malleable, and that's just kind of down to the individual and what they find easy or hard to do. If you ever create a business, or if you ever, you know, create anything, you will understand that the amount of time that you put into it is always going to be more than an average job or an average, you know, other thing. But also the payoff that it can give you is way higher than working for somebody else, right? That's the thing. Yeah, the other thing is you need a PC to do a bunch of other things too. So you don't necessarily want to pick up a PC for content creation, but you do need to pick up a PC to do different things. Like a PC isn't necessary for life nowadays. The other thing to also note is oh, my guy just disappeared. The other thing to note is you need to focus on other areas of your life first before you do anything in the form of content creation. There are too many broken human beings who focused on content creation, don't understand social skills, don't have any qualifications, and end up feeling trapped in content creation because it's the only thing that they have, right? Now, it should be the opposite way around. Content creation in general should be something which you do on the side as you are doing all of the other things. Which means that you can't put 100% of your effort into it, but if it starts to take off, then you can start, you know, minimizing other areas and improving that. But you need the baseline of being a human being. And I know that sounds really weird, but there are too many people who I would class as terminally online who are content creators. There's something which stuck in my head a long time ago. One of my favorite people to watch ever was a guy called Total Biscuit. Total Biscuit was around along maybe 10 years ago at this point, 5 years ago, and he did game reviews, and he also did a really cool podcast, the Game Station podcast, or whatever it was called eventually. But it was really fun, and I would listen to it a lot because I would be, you know, doing university work, and I would do it as a secondary thing. If you actually have a look at Total Biscuit and who he hung out with, he became a pretty jaded person by the end because his only friends were people who did what he did, right? So not his opinions on games or whatever, but his social interactions were very limited because of that fact. So you need to make sure to not become a person like that, who is just a dweeb, is probably the best way of putting it. Somebody who is just a NEET at the end of the day. You need to have different factors about you. You need to be, you know, a little bit better than that. There was a... let's see if I can find him. Because I don't know if he does stuff anymore. But Total Biscuit used to have a... Oh, he was called Zook. Wasn't he called Zook? Yeah, so Zook was a guy... yeah, Zook. So... This is Zook. Zook is basically a graphics designer. He didn't die from a brain tumor. He died from a thingy cancer. I can't remember what it's called, but he died from cancer. But Zook does stuff is the name. So he hasn't made anything in ages, but he made a video which was basically going through who TB was and from people who knew him, because obviously he was the graphics designer, he was there from the beginning, and he talks about a lot of these things. And it's something you have to be really careful of, because once you spend more and more time in it, you realize, you know, it is quite a lonely thing, because there's a lot of stuff that you have to like sort out that other people aren't going to understand. But then you got to understand that that's like a lot of people, right? That isn't just a content creator thing. It just seems like it because you're kind of stuck there, right? So basically, at the end of the day, the main thing to understand is don't let it become your life. Have it as a side thing, have it as a bit of fun, have it as a way to release pressure from life in general, right? And then you'll have the most success, and also you'll enjoy yourself the most, which is the most important part about this. You know? I really enjoy looking forward to streaming. I really enjoy watching... I really enjoy like making YouTube videos, but it isn't all of my life. It's actually quite a minor part of my overall life of what's going on right now. And I think that's how to do it. And you gotta super focus on reading. You got to super focus on trying to understand how trends work. You got to super focus on trying to just be, you know, somebody who's not a dude who goes, yeah, 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 and then just add shit to that. And that's pretty hard to do. That's why a lot of people get boring after a few years. They just do the same stuff over and over again. But yeah, so that's some advice. Focus on everything else first and then let that come along. Worked for me, but I feel like I'm probably one of the worst people to talk about this to, because I see it very differently to many other people who do this stuff. Whoops. So then we have Zenil Summer Servo. What car do I have? I have a few, but I don't really like going through what they are. You know, I kind of have everyday cards that are kind of boring. You know, I just have some boring cars, and then I have a nice little Austin Healey and some 1920s, 1930s cars, which I have inherited from the family. But I'm pretty sure they're still in the UK, so I'm pretty sure they're getting sold soon. So won't have them pretty soon. Only driven one of them once. Kind of sucks, but c'est la vie. Yeah, I don't like chatting about the cars that I have. I don't know. It feels a bit too personal. Don't know why, but it's just something that's always stuck in my head. There's a lot of cars I'd like to have. I've always liked the idea of being a big dude in a small car. So I've always wanted a Lotus Elise. I've always wanted a smart car, funnily enough. I don't think I'd use it a lot, but I remember when I was at university, there was Car2Go. And Car2Go was super enjoyable because it was like, it was basically, you know, you paid a membership every month and you could drive the cars around the place. It was nice. But the issue with it was it was all mainly smart cars because it was about the inner city stuff. And, you know, I'm a big dude, so sitting in a smart car was hilarious. But yeah. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I really want an old Mini, but the old Minis are pretty pricey for what they are. It might be better just to build one at this point, or one which is similar. So we have Alex saying first, and seems to have been first, and Papa Stalin. Salutations, Tech and French. Monet, why is France so cringe? As for you, Tech, opinion on the type of people, and know these people, and you can give the real reason why they're doing it, other than fun / other sort of stuff. As in this case, it's likely not for clout. Oh yeah, so yeah, I think Papa Stalin sent me this earlier, so I can kind of show you it. It was a link to a Reddit thing. Let's see. Here we go. I'll just set it up real quick. So this is the post that he's talking about. It's basically from yesterday. It says these MFers made an account specifically to ram into teammates. I don't even know banning them would make any difference. They could just make a new account anyway. So yeah, basically there's like a set of people here, like 3 of them who are playing like American aircraft, and all they're doing is literally just going around and ramming into people in arcade. So why would people do this? First of all, for attention, but obviously in this case, the only way this could be attention is if this guy is one of the people or knows one of the people, which, if I'm honest with you, happens a lot with many of these posts, where the people who are actually posting about them and showing how bad they are the people who are there. But the main reason why stuff like this happens is because people have sad lives, and usually are people who just don't have a lot going on for them and they just want to take it out on other people, right? That's pretty much it. Like they're just individuals who just are broken human beings. And the thing about free to play games or any other games is it gives people an outlet to get out their aggression. And also with the internet and how free it is, it means that many people can, it's easier to find each other and be able to do this stuff together, therefore making the problem way worse than what it was. It just happens a lot. And, it's something that you can never actually deal with. There are always going to be people who are of that ilk, and you're not going to be able to stop them. They're never going to be able to. They're never going to be able to, change. The only way you deal with stuff like that is just keep banning the accounts over and over again. And I suppose IP bans or whatever, but there's ways of getting around there too. So it's just how it is. But yeah, it sucks. It happens a lot, and I just wish it didn't. I wish people would focus internally on themselves, if even if they are in a very negative area of life. I think it's very important to focus on you and not others, or causing pain to others, and work out what is causing the pain inside you in order to do that. But say la vie, we don't live in those times. That's not stuff that's always seen as popular or pushed forward, especially by pretty famous people. So, what can you do? That's the end of the tech talk, by the way. So, a lot of good topics today, a lot of stuff to talk about, and also at the same time, I'm pretty hungry. So, I think we'll end the tech talk here, and then we'll continue with the stream. Need to do the and then also this one as we go along, so shouldn't be too bad. Anyway, peace with you, look after yourselves, and see you next week. Bye bye.